Hey, good morning everyone. Welcome to the live stream again. Now in today's topic for discussions with the Team Axiom that we'll be discussing about a REST API using LARAVEL. As you all aware about, PHP LARAVEL is very popular among developers for its having supported with the MVC architecture, and we can produce the REST APIs through it. Let us firstly discuss about the features why PHP, as we already aware about the core PHP, why it is popular, and then it is nowadays it is supported by the various frameworks. The first feature of PHP to gain the popularity among developers, that is performance, right? Comparative to all the other server-side coding languages, right? The performance of PHP is rated much higher. It's open source. Familiarity with the syntaxes. There is like so many restrictions in other languages about the syntaxes. The PHP syntaxes are very familiar, right? We can embed various libraries in it. Platform independent is the main key feature. Database support, error reporting, loosely typed language, and many more. Is obviously to gain the popularity, there has to be some key features involved in the pro languages, and that all because of these all the popular features, PHP is very popular among developers community. At the same time, the investors also, while picking the solution architectures, or the investors while picking the pro languages for the server side developments, they'll recommend to go with the PHP, and because of the MVC architecture, and if they want to produce the REST APIs, right? So they'll go with the LARAVEL. So LARAVEL is a nowadays, as I told you, very popular in among developers community to produce the REST APIs. So that firstly we will discuss about in sequence what are the advantages of MVC, because popularly we are saying about MVC stand for models, view, control, and all. So first of all, let us focus on what exactly MVC means, right? And then as agenda is to produce all the REST APIs by using MVC architecture using Laravel. So obviously my team will guide you, right? How we can produce the REST APIs, how we can test the REST APIs, what are the responses of the APIs, and how what are the various tools used for the testing and all this stuff. That is all agenda behind. Conceptually, if you understand about the MVC architecture, why we need MVC architecture? If you don't follow the MVC architecture, then it's a like request come from the user, and server have to develop the response, right? Now imagine if few users are there, request to the servers, it become easy. For example, if you have a like if you go to the hotel, and the consumer requests for certain things, now there is only one person who can accept your request, go to the kitchen, produce the things, and get back and do the billing as well. So in certain means, like if one processor is there who is taking care of everything, so in that situation, so obviously when the number of users pile up, or number of users at a time requesting certain things, so web server will not able to manage the load, and the response time will delay, and it's obviously overall the performance of the web server will certainly reduces, right? So whenever we are going with the MVC, why MVC architecture is recommended, that first thing organizes large size of web applications. Whenever there are various features, various modules, right? And if you are expecting the large crowd will be processing that request and all at a time, so obviously you need to, it's like it's a architecture of an applications, it's a coding standards one can say about the MVC. Means instead of directly users will request and response will be developed, we will develop the controllers, right? And then controllers means like we will divide just referring to that example, we will divide the things in the various departments. Rather, the billing department is different, kitchen department is different, serving department will be different, likewise, and that become the models, right? And whenever the request goes directly not goes to the processor, okay, it goes to the controller will transfer this request to the modules, to the department process that module, develop the response, and then controller will be passing on to the views means the outcome of it, right, which will be interact means modules will not interact. The module means the processing logic or the branches or the departments will not directly interacting with the user. Here the controller's role is to just control. It will just manage the traffic. It will just accept the request, pass on to the specific modules, right, and get the data process, and then pass on to the views to wrap everything well, and because like it's a presentations to the user, and then it will be presented to the user. So this MVC architecture for organizing large size of web applications supports asynchronous method, invocation, right? Because basically you never know what request users are doing. So that time for supporting that asynchronous method invocations, right? Then easily modifiable means obviously you can modify any specific program processing logic, right? Faster developmental process, easy planning and maintenance, right? Returns data without formatting. There are many other things, right? Test-driven development, multiple views. So these all advantage we will be getting in by defining that application architecture in the MVC standards. So now in today's sessions, my team will be more focusing on like how we can use LARAVEL firstly as a framework for the development. Second, we will follow the MVC coding standards. Then we will create the REST APIs. Now, as you already aware about the REST APIs, I just want to talk more about the REST APIs today, because nowadays, if you're not having any API driven application, or if you are not following the REST APIs, what will happen? That the clients who are requesting through the interface, and that request goes to the server, so only one interface can able to connect to the server. All the users have to go through that interface only, and the server is dedicatedly supporting to that request only, right? So it means you cannot serve, right? Server will not be integrated to the various UI, various interfaces, right? But imagine the situations what will happen nowadays. Obviously, it's not only the B2C, but it's a B2B applications also working parallelly, right? Means in such situations, if you develop the APIs, I'll firstly let me explain the concept of API first, right? Means it's a server side code, right, which will be invoked through the URL, and there is an endpoint to trigger that particular processing logic. So whichever location, right, irrespective not only that specific client, from wherever you make a request to, right? So by passing it on, it's like a server side function sort of, which we can invoke from the remote locations or from anywhere else where you got the URL and endpoints, and certain parameters has to pass on. So by basically what industry is doing now, we will developing the services and produce that all the APIs, application programming interface, right, which we can integrate in the UI. So irrespective whichever UI you are using, it's not only that server will be dedicated responding to one client only. Then multiple clients can integrate all the APIs, right, and make a request, and server will now serving to them all, right? So that is the advantage, right? So in case of REST API, you will get that all the API documentations with you. You can test those API the parameters and develop the response. And once you develop the response, these APIs are testable, implementable to the all the interface over there, so that not only one client, multiple clients can able to connect to the server at a time. Multiple clients, let's say for example, if I am developer server side logic for Axiom TechGuru, so through the interface of Axiom TechGuru, we are only requesting to that particular server. But now if you develop the REST APIs, right, not only Axiom TechGuru interface, but at the same time I can onboard various other clients as well, and they can also integrate those all the REST APIs in their interface, and their clients also can request to the server and process the data available on the server. Right. So as you know that, okay, nowadays because of the Google Analytics, okay, because of the so many interfaces over there, just like if you want to book a hotel, right, from a city, and there are from any city, and there are n number of hotels maybe, and from one interface you want to know the charges, you want to know the availability of the rooms and everything, how it is possible from one interface? In that case, obviously, that internally that interface has to be integrated with the various hotel service providers, and then they have their own APIs, so that from this interface we can fetch the data and accumulate all the hotels data or ATMs data or any other things are, right? So these advantages you will get in the REST API. So today we will be focusing on how we can produce the REST API using PHP Laravel. Now, while producing such APIs, obviously we need to document them, because these API documentation consists, as I told you, not only the URL but the parameters and the how we can integrate them, how we can use them, how we can test them. This entire API documentations we need to produce, because obviously these APIs will be integrated by the third parties, right? So while producing APIs, documentation plays a very vital role. Then we will be discussing about integrate REST APIs and the testing rate APIs, what kind of care we need to take, what kind of what the various response means, what are the various testing tools available, and many more things are there. So I believe this is what agenda. This is an agenda for today's discussions. I hope you will like this concept of REST API developing using Laravel. At the same time, how we can follow the MVC architecture and various kind of technical challenges we'll get in the integrations and the testing and documenting REST APIs over there. So I'll transfer this call to my team. Team Axiom will certainly help you out for resolving all these solutions and exploring how we can produce REST APIs using PHP Laravel. Over to my team. As this is a live stream, if you have any queries, at the same time, if you want to have a response of any other thing, so if you are getting some technical challenges, do let us know, so that we can able to guide you and we can able to resolve you. At the same time, Team Axiom will certainly help you out for resolving all the problems if you are facing in the PHP Laravel REST API framework over there. Over to my team, they'll guide you about all the theoretical concept which I explained to you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Hi everyone, hope you all are doing good right now. And before going to the practical, how to create the APIs, what is MVC architecture, we will do a quick short review on the MVC architecture. As we all know, nowadays PHP Laravel framework is in trending. So why it is on trending? Like so many frameworks are using like MVC architecture, but why Laravel is trending? Because the Laravel is easy to use, and it's working on the MVC architecture, like model to view to controller. So we will quick shot on the MVC. So when the user will be hit the URL, right? User will send a request to the like a server. So server will get that request and send it to the route. What route will do? Route will send that request to the controller, and controller will interact with the model, and model will interact with the controller, and then as a response that will give it to the view page. So like a view page is the our like a response we will say all the time like that. So like we go for the quick review for practical. So yeah, I'm sharing my screen. Hope my screen is visible to you all. So here we jump on the so this is the Laravel project. We have to write simply a PHP artisan make controller for the controller, and a PHP artisan serve for running. Let me explain you. PHP artisan serve for running our project on the server. So like on this server, our project is live right now live. So here we go. So see, here is our server is live. So let me explain you. Here is the our controller here in the app folder. Here is the HTTP folder. In HTTP, there is the controller and the middleware also. What middleware can do? Middleware will check the response. If you want to authenticate or anything restriction, if that user is if only that user will be logged in, so that time the middleware will check the response that user and send it to other page. So that work of the middleware. Here is the database. In database, here is the migration. We can create the migration we can create the table here like our database table here. And here in the models, here the user.php in user.php, here we created for the our user for model. And in resources, here is the view. So like this we can create. And in the routes, we can create the routes like this. And simply when the user will hit this URL, so it will redirect to the controller, so from user auth. So yeah, so we will start how controller will make and how to interact with the controller and so on. So here I have created one user auth controller. We have to simply write one CLI for that PHP artisan make colon controller. And in front of that we have to give our controller name from by which name of controller we have to create. So like this I have created the user auth controller. Before going to the controller, we will discuss for the views pages which layout I have created for this. So we all know Laravel will be interact with the React Vue. Laravel will provide the features to interact with React, Vue, and Angular. Like that, Laravel has their own templates, like blade template. We say for that blade template, what will they will do? The blade template will give some features to use. So it will be easy to use the PHP in our views pages. So like this include what the include works will include this page. Like now I have created the now page. It will give it will include our layout.now in our header. Like we have some piece of our code we have placed in the now.blade.php, and we can accessing that code from there by using include. What yield will do? Yield will simply we have to yield at the yield, and we have to give one name. And we have to embed that let me explain like this. In the section we have to pass the content name. Like we have include here yield content. So same we have to include here in the section which we have content. And the end of the section we have to close that. So it will consider this section will be they have to pass. So like this the blade will provide us. And then yeah, so we will jump on the routes. Let me explain about the routes, API routes, web routes. So here we have to create some routes like this. Route hyphen get, when we have to pass here the URL. When this URL will be hitted, so we can accessing this controller like from user or controller class controller. we can we want this show data function. So like I have created in the controller pages user auth. Here is that show data. So that show data will be what the show data is doing. So from this model, from user model, it will fetching all the data and redirecting and giving it to the our welcome page. So here is our welcome page. Yeah, here is our welcome page. So that data will be fetching and passing to the welcome page. Here we give compact, like we are storing this all the data in the this variable and compact that data and sending to the layout.edit page. And same here, compact user this variable we are compacting and send it to the welcome page. So that variable will be accessible in the welcome page also in the view folder. So like that. And then we are going for the routes. Here is same for the login. We are get the login page. It will give us the login page. And for posting the data, we are accessing the login user from the user auth class, and we have to simply include that class over here also in the up. And then for the register, we are same. And here I have simply created some routes over here, like logout function I have created in the user auth. So like controller, what the controller is doing, controller is just like giving the access, like go to the model, take the model data from there and pass into the view. And when the data will be entered, we have to enter the data in the like database. So it will taking the data from the view and passing that data in the model. So here is that. Here we have to give some functions, like I will go to explain you the functions. Like we will jump on the register function. So here we have to create one function, public function we have to create. And we have to give here register username. So that function we have to pass in this. So like here in the route dot post, we are I'm saying when the user will hit this register route, so it will jump on the register user controller. So like this. Here is that register user function. What we are requesting, that request will be giving over here. Like that, I'm using one variable user, and in that I'm calling that user model. We have just defined that user model in the model folder like this. And it will interacting with our model. So like we are saying in the user, like in this model where the user will be like name will be there, which request we are sending, we have to save in that folder, like in that section in the database. So like same for the email and password. We are making the password as a hash because it will be secure for our like login user and all the authentication. So that's why we are making the hash. And the request, when the password will be entered, it will make the hash of that password and save that password in our database. So like that, user will be saved in our database. So like this. And when this function will be completed, we are sending it to the login page. So that's why we are redirecting this on the login page. And Laravel will provide us some validation also before entering that data in our database. Before storing that data in our database, it will validate that data. Laravel will validate that data, like check whether if their name is not defined or not entered. So it will require, and it will give the error for that in the front end only. So these features will be provided by the Laravel. And same for the login. Here I am saying, yeah. So here this login user function I am calling. So here I am accessing that like in the our routes also. So in that this login post, I'm accessing the login user. So here we jump on the login user. Yeah. So here what we are doing, like we are checking where the email is request.input. Like when the email is like we are when the request email, when we enter the email on the login page, so it will check that if it's available in our model. So it will check password which we are entering, and user password, and that password we are entering, that storing in the hash format. So we have to use here hash hash check. So it will check that password, decrypt that password and check by that. And if we have to send a session, like session put, we have to send us like login name or like an image or email or name of that particular user. So we have to send that in the session. By this, we have to give the key and then value what we have to give on what we have to put in the session. So we can access this by using this like key, this key in view page. So we will access this by by using this key and then redirect to home page. By in the home page we are saying that we have to jump on the, we are declaring this route, so we have to jump on the share data. So like this, yeah. So and simply for the edit also. So I have created here some edit pages. We have to edit the data. So here is that show edit, and I have make the route for that. This is the route we are passing. We have to pass the ID over there while editing the data. So for this I have created for get the data from the database and check like and redirect that like page to the edit profile page. So that's why I'm getting this ticket. And we have to if we have to edit the data, so we have to use the put request. So like that I have created the user function also, edit profile. This function I have exported over there. And that's like I'm passing here one extra parameter as an ID. And here I am saying this, in this us variable we have to find this ID's data. So it will find the data from that row of our database, and where the ID is same, so it will find the data and give to us. And then we are saying like name, request input name, what we are like requesting to that. So it will enter there, and we have to put that data, so it will update that data. So like same here, we have to change the profile. So it will check if that is image is available, so it will change the change our update our image also. So like this, what we are saying, like image is sending, so file will be image, and extension will be get. So what a get client original extension will do, extension function will do, it will give us the extension name. Like if we are sending the jpg format, so it will provide us the that name. So that's why we are using this. And we have to store the file name, so it will we are storing in the time, at which time we are like storing that format. So yeah, that's why we are using the time function and the extension, dot extension. With the dot extension we have to like firstly our time will be printed and then dot, and then after that the extension will be printed over there, which will be provided by the get client original extension. So like this, and we are sending that, like move that file in the public path. The public, what the public path will do, public path will give us the access of public folder. So like here is that public folder. I am saying that public folder move in the uploads. I am storing this like public path, and public in the public path I have created the upload folder. In the upload folder we are storing all the data, like all the images we are like profile we that our user will be changed. So like this, and we are saying that the image will be uploaded, so save it to the database and our project also. So then we are saying that redirect back to this page only. So here is that. So controller will be cleared, model will be cleared, and the routes will be cleared, and the view page also cleared over here. So here I have created for login also, and a register. So same blade template I am using over here, and by using that blade template I have created the view pages also. So here we jump on the direct quick demo. So like register, I want to register as a XYZ. I'm saying random click random name XYZ 123 @gmail.com, and password will I'm saying here. So what it will do, it will the format will be hash and store in our database. So we will check. So register, our user will be registered. So we will go and check in our database, is there any XYZ entries entered? So yeah, here our XYZ entry will be entered, and here that email also entered, and here we are checking the hash format of that password also stored in the database. So we will go for the our I'm taking that this email from here, and here. So it will redirect us to the home page. So this is our home page. So like see, here is the name XYZ, here also the name XYZ. Here is that what we entered the Gmail. And if we have to edit the profile, we can jump on the edit profile from here. See, here we are getting that name. We are going to enter this to ABC, and we have to change the profile image also. So we are changing this, update this. So see here our image also updated, and the profile name also updated. So see here ABC will be here, and when we go on the ABC folder, so see ABC will be here appearing, and ABC also is appearing. So like welcome back ABC. So like it will give us like the our database model view and controller is working properly. So here our MVC will be completed, and by using that URL, we are hitting the REST APIs, and we are working on this. So like this, I am working on the logout, so it will be logged out. So hope you all understand about the MVC architecture, how to create the APIs, and how to make a controller model, and how to send the data from the controller to view, controller to model, and how to get that access that data, and how to uh, log in our authentication system. So my teammate Kanchan ma'am will be here for helping us to how to test that data, and how to test the APIs, and how to what tools we have to use for testing the APIs, and so on. So yeah, Kanchan ma'am.
Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you so much, Gaurav. As my team member Gaurav explained you that how that API is going to be developed using PHP and Laravel. So now I'm going to present you like how we are going to test that API. So let's start API testing. So here is the content like what we are going to discuss. Like firstly, what is API and introduction part, and what is API testing, why it is important, and what will the type of API, and which tools we are going to select for API testing, what different CRUD operation we are going to perform using API, and what will be the response code, and how we are going to hit that services in the tool that we are using, and what will be the advantages of API, and lastly, we're going to see the how that documentation we are going to create, API documentation we are going to create. So let's start the introduction. So what is API exactly? So API is stands for Application Programming Interface that allow you to like different software applications to communicate with each other. So that it's like in API we making the request to the server, and then server returns the response to you. So let's see what is API testing. As you can see here in diagram, three layers are present like presentation layer, business layer, and database layer. In business layer, actually the API testings work here in business layer, and in presentation layer, GUI testing is work here. So, what is API testing? It's a type of software testing that mainly focuses on the APIs, that is the application programming interface. So, the purpose of API testing is like to identify the bugs, error before it integrating with the front end. So, API testing is like entirely different from the user interface testing. It mainly concentrated on the business layer of software architecture, and this testing won't concentrate on look and feel of the application, like instead of using like a standard input to the keyboards and getting the output, so we use software to send the calls to the API and get the output, and we note down that response. So this is API testing. And what will be the types of REST API. API. So we are having like SOAP API and REST API. SOAP API uses the SOAP UI tool, that is Simple Object Access Protocol, and it's a protocol that support only the XML format, and it need the visual file like a web service description language. So and in SOAP API, the response time will be more, and it is not best suited for the CRUD operation. We're going to see in the next slide like what is exactly the CRUD operations will be. In REST API that uses the Postman tool, that is the REST means nothing but the representational state transfer. It's an architecture, and REST API uses like it's language independent, like multiple languages support like XML, JSON, HTML, JavaScript, and in REST API we only need the APIs, and whatever the request we hit, we get that response in within a second. So here in REST API, the response time is less, and it is best suited for the CRUD operation. And also the type of security that provided by the REST API is like authorization token, header, parameters. Now we can see why it is important, why API testing is important. So API is the interface between the database and your application, or between the two applications. So, if your API is not stable or retrieving the wrong data, means your application also will show the wrong data. Like if your API is not functioning, obviously your application also will not function well. So, most of the companies like first develop the API first and then tested it. So, if the API is functional, then it will give given to the app developer and to develop the application. So without testing the API, if you start developing your application and once you will get the bug, you have to investigate the API level also. So if there is a problem with your API, so you may need to change some API structure as well, and application code also has to be changed. So to avoid all this rework, better to test the API prior to the application. So that's why the application API testing is more important. Now we see the, like which tools we are using for API testing. So here you can see the different tools are available in the market for API testing. Postman, SOAP UI, JMeter. Different tools are available. So we are using the Postman tool. That Postman tool, it's a structure that allow you for API testing, and the interface is user friendly. So it is best suited for automation testing and a collaboration tool. So now we see in the next slide, we are going to see what are the different CRUD operation, or we can also call it as the HTTP methods. So different CRUD operation. CRUD stands for create, read, update, and delete. And as we all know, like what HTTP is method is a hypertext text transfer protocol that is used for communication. So the different CRUD operations that we're going to perform in API testing is like get, put, post, and delete. So firstly, we are going to see the get. Get is like it is used for retrieving the data, fetching the data. If you want to fetch your data from the database, so that time we will use the get operation. And the post like it is used for creating the data. But in that case, in post operation, we need to pass the body in the post. Nextly, the put operation. In if you want to update your data, if you want to edit your data, so that time you have to use the put operation. And if you want to delete your data or remove your data from the database, so that time you need to use the delete operation. So as you can see here, like the get method, that's simply the request we are sending here and sending the request and getting the response. So these all the things like we are going to see practically later. So now we are going to see the after getting the response, like which status code we are getting, or like what response we are getting in Postman tool. So different status codes we get 200 okay for successfully getting the data, for successfully creating the data. And if the person is unauthorized, or we are passing the bad request, so we are getting the 400 status code, and for unauthorized we are getting 401. And different status code we are having. If we are having the internal server error problem, so that time we will get the 500 status code. And if the service is not available, so that time we will get the 503 status code. So different many status codes we are having, response status code. So now we see like what will the advantages of API. So API is going to provide you the security and also like API that can transfer the load to different microservices, and also it checks the authentication and pass the data that we are passing. Also it API it checks the core functionality of the application, and also within a second we can hit lots of API. It is time effective, and also the REST API is language independent, like it support the XML, Java, JSON, JavaScript, JavaScript, HTML, and the easy integration with UI, and also it improve your performance. Lastly, we're going to see that we see that how the API is going to be developed using PHP Laravel, and nextly we see that how that perform the API testing. Now, how the API documentation is going to be created. So, documentation is also the important part of your any collection or APIs. So, good documentation help you the people that who are using the collection to understand what it does and how each request work. So, the API documentations lets your consumer know what endpoints are available and how to interact with them. So, the documentation is very important. And once you have generated the documentation of your collection or API, user can view the documentation in Postman. So by default, the Postman give you the documentation basic structure. So it is private. So if you must, so you must share a collection or API with others before they can access it. And if you are creating a public API, you can publish your documentation to make it publicly available to anyone with a web browser. So, documentation in API document, REST API documentation, what it will include like the request details, methods, authorization types that we are using, URL header request, and the response we are getting. So, all that going to be included in the REST API documentation. So now, theoretically, we all see like how we perform the testing and how the documentation is. Now we are going to see the practically that in Postman tool. So how we are going to hit that API and how we are going to get that response. So let's see. So this is the Postman tool. You can see here. So here the collection part is present. Like, here you can see the collection. If you want to create your new collection, so simply you have to click here plus and create the collection. So in collections, like different operations or different requests that we need to perform, or like we need to perform, or we are going to add that request in the collection. What are the collections will include? It will include all the requested requests that you need to be performed. So as you can see here, like we are having the post request, get request, and put request. So in get request, as you can see here in get, you simply click on that which request you want. So simply select the get request and hit that API, and after uh, hitting that API, you are getting the response. So in get request, there is no need of body. We simply sending the request and getting the response. So here you can see here the response that we are getting, and also you can see here the status 200 okay, that we successfully fetch or retrieve the data. So next we are going to see the post. As the Gaurav created the dashboard of like register, login, and edit profile. So here we are having the API of register. Before login, we have to register first. So here is the API of our register, and here is the request. Here is the request API request, that is post, and in post we need to pass the body. As you can see here, like name, you have to pass the name here, you have to pass the name. Uh, so as you can see here, you pass, and you have to change the mail ID now. You have to change the mail ID. As I already told you, in post there is a requirement of body. In body, we have to pass the data. So after passing the data, we just have to click on send. After clicking on the send, you see here that we are successfully registered, and the status scores we are getting here 200. Okay. Now we have successfully registered. Now we are going to perform the login. So for that, like we have to go for the post API for login. So you have to add the login API here and select the post request. And also for login, you have to pass the body. So in body, the mail ID which we have registered, and we need to pass here, and just click on send. As you can see here, you are successfully logged in. So, the after the login, we successfully fetch all the we successfully log as we are getting the response. So, in API testing, we simply hit the request and get the response. And as you can see here, we can check the time that required for getting the response, and also the status code. You can see here. Now, we are going to see that how the documentation we are going to create using that request. So you can see here our Laravel projects. So here the collections are different collections are request we are present in the collection. So simply just click on that, go to edit. After going to edit, we complete the documentation. So here we need to add the here we need to add the description about the collection. So if we add like so as I'm writing here, we are creating the dashboard of like simple. We created the dashboard, and in that we are having the login. In collection, we are having the register login and edit profile APIs. We are having here edit profile API. We are having. So simply we need to write here description about your collection, and the APIs we hit like post API, post API. Here you can see the URL API of that post, and write about that post request if you want to write. So like as we all know, the post request, post API, post API use. So, write it here like post API steps we follow in that, and in body, what like we pass like email ID we pass, and the password name. And for login, we simply add the email ID and password, and simply you have to like write description about that login form. So, login API. So, and this will be the GET request. As you can see here, the GET API, and add it here, the GET API for fetching data. So, that put edit profile. If you want to edit your profile, so that time you can use the post put a request. So, by using the put request, you can edit your profile as well. And once it is uh, completed description, we have right description over here. So just click on the publish, and once we click on publish, once we click on publish, you can preview your documentation part from here as well. So just click on preview documentation, and in preview documentation, as you can see here, all you can give your color effect for your documentation or documentation. And now you just click on publish. When you click on publish, you will see that here we getting the URL. Just click on that URL. copy that URL and just open that in incognito mode if you want anyone. Just hit that, and after hitting, just copy that URL that we are getting and just paste that URL in your browser, and you can see your documentation. So the here you can see your documentation, whole documentation, API documentation, that with what request we are like using, and like post put and the get request we are using. And here you can see all the post APIs as well. And in the body you can see like which data we are passing and what the description about that. And in the right side you can see the actual and the expected results. So here that we can generate the uh, API documentation as well in Postman tool also. So this is all about like how we are going to perform the API testing and how we going to create the API documentation, REST API documentation as well. So hope you understand all the things. So thank you so much. Have a nice day.
Hey, thank you, Gaurav and Kanchan. You did well, and you explained us in great details related to the MVC architecture, how we can able to produce the REST APIs, at the same time how we can test and create the API documentations. I'm requesting to you all guys, okay, hope you guys enjoyed these sessions. These kind of sessions certainly help to just explore the new trending technical topics in the industry. At the same time, if somebody is facing some challenges, to understand and like explore it, certainly this kind of streaming sessions will help out them to boost the like coding standards and all. So I'm requesting to all global community of developers, okay, come join us, okay, to explore various technical topics. And in this manner we can explore, we can practice, we can update our skills, and go ahead to resolve the and develop the solutions of an industry. So these kind of efforts certainly needed from the developer community, so that continuously we need to update our skills and come up to the expectations of the investors. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great weekend ahead. See you in the next streaming. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all.
Yeah, thank you, sir.